Hello friends, it's Maureen Craig coming to you from happyandfreeyoga.com. And today I am making sticky tofu. Sticky tofu, yes. And it is a favorite of mine. One thing when you are a person that does yoga, you spend more and more time getting in tune with how you feel on the inside. And so it's really important to nourish ourselves with super good food that helps us feel good and be strong. Okay, let's review our ingredients today. So we'll start out with our tofu. I'm using a high protein organic tofu, but you can really use any tofu you choose. But I'd like to have something that's relatively firm, so probably not the silky tofu. But yeah, anything that's relatively firm would work on that. And I use about 2 to 3 packages of tofu. I have 4 today. We'll see if we use all of them. I'm also going to steam some broccoli and cut up some early girl tomatoes on the side with some lovely brown rice that I've made over here in my rice maker. Now let's talk about that sauce, because this is the part that makes it sticky tofu. So I like to use a date sugar that is 100% dates, but you can use a different sugar if you so choose. And then I'm going to use a coconut aminos because it's very low in sodium. And you could also use a low sodium soy sauce, but this has got 73% less sodium than soy sauce. So that helps me feel better, less swelling from salt. Always seems like I need to cut my salt down. And then, so we're using 1/4 cup of both of those. And then just a little less than 1/4 cup of the almond butter. And blending those together. Sometimes people might want to try a different kind of nut butter, but I really like almond butter because it's pretty neutral in its flavor. And then I like to add a little bit of heat. So 1 or 2 tablespoons of this chili garlic sauce. If it's getting too thin for you though, you might want to just use plain chili flakes, or you can use a sriracha sauce would be another option. And then a little bit of lime juice for your hit of acid. Okay, and I think that puts us all together. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our tofu packages, and you always want to get this water off of the tofu as much as possible so that it gets a little bit chewier. So we'll go ahead and cut the tofu package open. And drain out as much of the water as you can. And then they talk about pressing the tofu, so I'm going to show you how to do that now. Okay, because my tofu is rather thick, I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half so it gets the water out a little bit better, or maybe even to thirds. I like to use the filleting knife because tofu is so fun to actually cut. Very, very satisfying. Now with a standard block of tofu, I tend to cut it into half, but I'm going to cut it in thirds today. So I think that'll work well. Okay, once you have all of your tofu laid out on the cookie sheet, you want to actually get a second cookie sheet, also with the paper towel on it. And we're going to just kind of put these two together to help press this out. Okay, we'll set one on top of the other. And the first press is where you get the majority of the water out. So just putting a little weight down on it. And then you can flip it over and press again. And one more time. And again. Okay, now we'll go ahead. Now we'll go ahead and cut up our tofu into cubes. Okay, first cutting in half and then in quarters. And then again in half and in quarters. And then we're ready to lay out the tofu. Okay, once you have laid out your tofu, making sure there's a little space around each cube, it's time to put them in your air fryer or oven. And we'll bake it at 400 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. You're looking for a nice golden brown color. Let's put it in the oven or your air fryer. I'm using my Breville air fryer. Even though I cut 2 trays of tofu, I'm going to bake it at a single layer at a time because I get better browning. Okay, while our tofu is air frying or baking at 400 degrees for 20 minutes gives us just the right amount of time to make our sticky sauce. We'll begin with our coconut aminos, or you may be using soy sauce. I have enjoyed coconut aminos because it's 73% lower in sodium. We're going to use 1/4 cup of this. And these quantities are a little bit adjustable depending on how your sauce tastes for you. And then now we'll add in 1/4 cup of date sugar. A little bit less than 1/4 cup of almond butter. A good tablespoon or 2 of chili garlic. Then we'll take some limes. And we'll squeeze a little lime juice in. From 1 or maybe even 2 limes. And you can see how it gets nice and sticky and sweet and spicy, ready for you to put your tofu through. We'll set that sauce aside while we now work on steaming our broccoli. So I've got 1 bag of broccoli. And I like to rinse it in a little colander. Trim off any parts that may be a little bit dark. Place it in a microwave safe container. With about 3 to 5 tablespoons of water. Place a cover on and microwave for 5 to 7 minutes till it's bright green. Okay, while we're microwaving, we're going to go ahead and chop our tomatoes. I'm just using these dry farmed Early Girl tomatoes because I love their tomatoey flavor. We'll rinse them quickly here in the basket. we'll cut them. And I just like to quarter them. And place them in a bowl. Okay. Okay, our tofu is done. And so we're going to take it out of the oven. And notice how crispy the little bits of tofu are. And they're ready to be tossed in the sauce. Okay, now you want to take your nice crispy tofu and place it into the sticky sauce. And then toss it to cover the crispy tofu. Okay, now let's put together a bowl. We'll start with a bit of rice. We'll add a few pieces of broccoli. And some tomatoes. And then your sticky sauce with tofu. And you're ready to eat. Sticky tofu. Sticky tofu with fresh steamed broccoli and early girl fresh tomatoes.